Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek, the #1 rated ticketed app with over 28 million downloads. Hey y'all, it's me, Machine Bus Kelly, and welcome back to AllStora. Today we'll be taking a look at how Mother Rupaul found herself embroiled in controversy and callouts this past week after an interview with The New Yorker, the announcement of her new memoir, and launch of her new co-created digital bookstore, AllStora. Plus we'll be taking a trip across the pond to review episode 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK vs. the World 2, where queens were challenged to dance and sing live in 7, the Rusical, which was not just an ordinary Rusical, it had a twist, because y'all wanted a twist, eh? The twist being that the queens have to actually write lyrics for their verses in the Rusical and come up with group choreography for their sections. And the runway category was When I Glow Up, elevated runways from seasons past. So we'll be going queen by queen to break all that down, but first, the drama. So Mother Ru has been on a bit of a PR tour this past week, mostly, I believe, with the intention of promoting her new book, The House of Hidden Meanings, a memoir by Rupaul. And HarperCollins, the publisher of this memoir, describes it on their website as a book where Rupaul strips away all artifice and recounts the story of his life with breathtaking clarity and tenderness, bringing his signature wisdom and wit to his own biography. And I personally haven't read this memoir yet, but if y'all want a bigger book review, that's definitely something I could do on this channel, so let me know if that sounds interesting. But the New York Times didn't have a lot of great things to say about it. Someone on Reddit actually pulled out a couple of quotes from the New York Times review, which read, "A striver high on his own supply who tries to spin his story as empathetic wisdom draped in Instagram-ready captions." And the memoir reveals an author who thinks he understands outsiders when really all he understands is that he wanted to become famous and eventually became famous. And while this memoir wasn't reason for any call out or controversy that occurred, I think the context of its publishing and timing around these other things is important to be aware of. In leading up to this book's announcement, there was an article in The New Yorker by Ronan Farrow which contained exclusive interviews with RuPaul, in which she kind of comes out as what we in pop culture might colloquially call a doomsday prepper. My words, not hers. And we also see her address past controversies like the fracking. This article opens with Farrow writing, "Recently, the drag star RuPaul Andre Charles has taken to falling asleep while watching the documentary series Secrets of Great British Castles." Castles? Castles. He's seen every episode, knows every turn in the bloody histories of landmarks like Dover Castle and the Tower of London, which sets an interesting stage for this next bit. RuPaul is braced for conflict. "I'm fearing the absolute worst," he said. "We are moments away from an effing civil war. All the signs are there," he continued. "Humans on this planet are in the cycle of destruction. I am plotting a safety net." He was referring to a fortified compound being constructed on the 60,000-acre ranch of his husband, Georges LeBar, in Wyoming. "I wouldn't call it a bunker," he said, "but it is designed to withstand calamity. It's a lot of concrete and a lot of things. I keep thinking about these castles that I'm going to bed to." And concerning the fracking, Farrow writes, "Criticism also followed an interview with NPR in 2020 in which he suggested that fracking, an environmentally destructive practice used to extract fossil fuels, was taking place on his husband's Wyoming ranch. RuPaul remains defiantly annoyed about the matter. 'Do you buy gas?' he said to me. 'Before you point the finger, smell it first, bitch.' He sounds weary when discussing these controversies. There's no combination of words I can put together that would soothe the mob." And seemingly addressing some excerpts from this interview, Lady Bunny, Ru's longtime friend and collaborator, actually called her out on Instagram, writing, "This screenshot is from a tech site, and the article focuses on Ru's dream of building a safety bunker because Ru says humans on this planet are in the cycle of destruction. So Ru is protecting himself from the climate's cycle of destruction, which his fracking helps to create. He's making himself safe while destroying the planet, and he votes for and even writes song lyrics about the Clintons and Obamas who sold fracking just as Biden drilled for more fossil fuels than Trump had. Mama Ru fracks, Mother Nature dies." And hypocritically, Drag Race had the nerve to have a climate change ball in season 10 to raise awareness among viewers as to the dangers of the climate crisis. But Ru and his husband, Georges, will be in their bunker safe and sound away from the floods and extreme weather which their actions and Ru's support for dim frackers have caused. And so we have that explosive interview happen, the book is announced, and then we see RuPaul start to promote the launch of a new digital bookstore called AllStora Books, which we saw a teaser with a political theme happen like 2 weeks ago.
"I'm RuPaul, and I have an announcement of an announcement for the American people. Subscribe and be the first to find out what it is."
That he followed up with this official announcement.
"I have co-founded an online bookstore called AllStora. AllStora is supporting authors. It is supporting you. All voices, everywhere.
And Jennifer Zahn over at Vulture did a pretty good breakdown of the controversy surrounding this bookstore launch. But the short of it is that Rue and the platform at large were being called out online by various people, notably Lady Bunny, for the inclusion of some conservative, right-wing, and anti-LGBTQ titles. And Lady Bunny, in her call-out Instagram post, wrote, Rue has a new just-announced book company called AllStora. The promo makes you think this company is squarely on the left, fighting book bans, fighting for the queer community, etc. And Rue says in an Insta video, it's for your people, it's for our people. But when you look at the site, you can buy Mein Kampf, a children's book by the extremely transphobic libs of TikTok founder Chaya Raichik, several books by GOP stalwarts Mike Huckabee, and even one Christian book called You Were Not Born That Way, It's Time to Break Free. Those ain't my people, Rue. AllStora sells some books that are so objectionable that the company has added notes to these selections saying, with the help of our community, we flagged this book as contrary to our core values. All proceeds from this title will go towards protecting diverse literature and marginalized communities from book bans through the Rainbow Book Bus. Why did you need the help of the community to do the right thing, AllStora? Why not just stop selling what many on the left consider to be hate speech? Rue could have just said, I want to sell all kinds of books, but here's my faves, and no one would have had any issue with it. And a bookstore owner, Bookends in Florence, also called out this new AllStora Books launch in a TikTok that went fairly viral this past week, saying things like this.
So what they've done is make a website with the entire Ingram catalog on it, and then you can just buy books through Ingram with the added step of giving your money to Rupaul. This is a scam. This is completely fake. This is completely nothing. This won't actually do anything to increase access to queer literature.
Where in summary, they essentially allege AllStora is nothing more than a rainbow capitalism dropshipping operation designed to make as much money as possible, which is arguably antithetical to the stated mission of AllStora on their website of uplifting the voices of underrepresented groups, including LGBTQ plus people, women, and communities of color. And as of the time I'm recording this video, Rupaul doesn't seem to have addressed any of this call out or controversy. Concerning the bookstore's inclusion of these problematic titles, they have added a notice to their site which says essentially they won't be removing any books from their store, arguing we cannot fight the ideologies of hate if we lack the ability to study, understand, and react to them. And as Bunny already addressed, it seems they're also taking portions of profits from these controversially labeled books and redistributing them to marginalized communities. How exactly that will all come to fruition in practice, though, I think remains to be seen. However, on March 9th, the CEO of AllStora did release an official apology letter on their website. Dear readers, my name is Eric Cervini and I'm a queer historian. I wrote my first book about the US government's persecution of the LGBTQ plus community in the 1950s and 60s. I'm also the CEO of a new online bookstore called AllStora, which I created alongside our co-founder and chief creative officer, the legendary Rupaul Charles. I want to take responsibility for our mistakes and I want to apologize. Addressing the so-called controversial titles, Cervini writes, I spent the past week listening to shopqueer.co customers, Rupaul fans, marginalized authors, and readers who feel betrayed by the inclusion of hate-filled books in our catalog. And through these conversations, I've relearned the difference between a library and a bookstore. While a library should fulfill its civic duty of making all perspectives, however abhorrent, available to all, the environment I envisioned for AllStora was one that made its guests feel safe. In building that space, I failed. I'm devastated that I've caused Rue's name to be even loosely associated with hate, and I take full responsibility for the decision to include these books. I'm horrified by the thought of a queer or trans youth accidentally stumbling upon a harmful book on our platform. I confused my duties as an academic and a bookseller, and I brought pain instead of joy into the world, and for that, I am sorry. Our engineers have built a reader-based flagging system that will help us identify and remove the most harmful books. We've already removed the titles that visitors have called to our attention, and you can continue to report any instances of hateful material on our site. We need your help as we build an experimental, ethical, community-based bookstore, one that promotes and protects authors while paying them fairly from the ground up. Once again, I am deeply sorry for making anyone feel unsafe on our platform. Sincerely, Eric Cervini. But that's the drama, the callouts, the controversy, and embroilments that Rupaul found herself in this past week. Big week. I'd of course love to know what y'all thought about all of that down in the comments below. And now on to our internationally acclaimed superstars. First up, the question remains, Tia Kofi. And because she won last week, she actually gets to assign all of the roles this week, which ultimately didn't really seem to matter for anything other than the order in which the girls performed in the Rusical, because this really wasn't a traditional Rusical with written out parts. The queens wrote their own verses and came up with their own choreo, and so what part they got kind of didn't matter, at least how I saw it. But Tia slots herself forth right in the middle of this Rusical and starts us off singing, "Don't give me that bing bang bong, I'm gonna hit you with a brand new song," and ends with an "I'm gonna take over the world, yeah," where she gives us a cute little kick. I'll say Tia felt confident and strong in her delivery. Where she struggled for me in this Rusical was choreo, which isn't totally surprising. She is self-professed not the best dancer in this cast. Despite that though, she was good in her solo section. I just think in some of those wider group shots, she was a tad awkward with her body and found herself out of sync, but this wasn't really like a problem unique to Tia. Almost all of the group choreo in every wide shot they show is a little messy, but Tia's solo moment I think was definitely strong in this and felt like a very safe hot to me. But her runway redemption was absolutely incredible. This was such a funny look. I remember when this aired and she was really tearing up that runway in that prehistoric pterodactyl look. And I think she absolutely nailed the presentation of this new sci-fi-esque pterodactyl with those mechanical wings that she's got in a backpack. I really like all the, what looks like mosaic tiling to create what is supposed to be like striations in muscle. And that gold cage adds some fun structure and contrasting color. This look is definitely I think the fair critique though to give Tia at this point in the competition on these runways is while she is generally speaking way more elevated, she is presenting a lot of full body cat suits and she looks great in them. But I think it would be nice to see her switch up these silhouettes and maybe do some more gown type of things in the coming episodes. And next up, is she the drama? Not this week. It's Scarlet Envy. But first, I've got a little secret to let you in on. Absolutely nothing beats getting a great deal on tickets to a live event with SeatGeek, the sponsor of today's video. Check it out. Browsing SeatGeek in my area, I see some great deals on tickets for artists like Vampire Weekend, Pink Panthers, and Melanie Martinez, plus touring Broadway shows like Wicked and even sports. Go team! SeatGeek shows me all of the available tickets from across the web in one place, rated on a scale of 1 to 10 on how great of a deal they are. Not only can I use the interactive map to see exactly where these seats are in the theater, but I can even see a picture with a view of the stage and the seats that I'll be purchasing. And my other favorite thing about SeatGeek is I can shop for tickets showing prices including fees, which means there's never any nasty surprises at checkout like other ticketing apps. And I know whether I'm looking for budget-friendly tickets or the best seats in the venue, SeatGeek's got me covered with their buyer guarantee. If your event gets canceled, they'll make it right. Plus, SeatGeek is the only ticketing app that lets you return your tickets up to 72 hours before the event with SeatGeek swaps. And speaking of great deals, SeatGeek's partner with me to save you even more money. Just click my link below to download SeatGeek and get $20 off your first order when you use coupon code BussyQueen. That's right, just use promo code BussyQueen to get $20 off your first SeatGeek order. I love tickets. Thanks SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. And she comes on second in our Rusical, belting out. Now look at me, center stage and on the screen, right where I should be. Ending with, "Never fear the future, the world is yours, take it baby." And honestly, Scarlet's singing was the best in this group. Also, she had a great stage presence both in her solo moment and in most all of the larger group shots. She was one of the 2 queens next to Marina Summers who I think consistently looked like they knew what they were doing throughout the entire Rusical. I thought she killed it and I'm giving her 5 out of 5 hot flames here. And for the runway, she chose to recreate the MILF Eleganza runway, which was the 3rd look from the Monster Ball of season 11. And the original look was an artisanal piece of adequately sewn green fabric. But, you know, aesthetically speaking, she wasn't able to capture a lot in that presentation. Again, that's what made it such a great choice for recreation here. And this new look has a very clear point of view, tapping into the sea creature from the Black Lagoon, that horror sci-fi movie from the 50s. She's giving us Gill Man, or I guess we should say Gill Woman, fighter of the night man. Whoa! Anyone? She or whoever made this did a great job on the contrast between the different types of scales, the silver and the green. It catches light beautifully, and I love the execution of the face kini and how it is mask-like, but also tapping into those Club Kid roots where you can see her crazy, very good and well done makeup beneath. She just hopped off the boat, a little trip from the Black Lagoon like fresh tilapia. This look is hot. And next up, we've got Conda, who gets assigned a character that has a description something akin to an Oompa Loompa, essentially meaning her role is intended to be comedic relief. Hannah comes in next to last, singing, "Here comes Hannah with a comic verse, so typecast I think I'm cursed." Ending with, "Here in the UK, this is a big sleigh, ah." And this is fine. She didn't really like stand out in a good or bad way for me. And generally speaking, her stage presence is good. We know that. But this did feel like a slight missed opportunity for her to do something bigger and better. So I would give this a warming up. And over on the runway, she chose to glow up her belts, buckles, and chains runway, which originally was a cute little cocktail dress, but I don't think had a larger point of view. To this look though, she brings such a beautiful story. She tells us this look is celebrating the D word that rhymes with bikes on Bikes organization, which is, by the way, an international lesbian group that you may have seen in pride parades. And she talks about how this look and the lesbians in this group are really important to her because during the 80s, when the AIDS crisis and general, we'll say, distaste of the queer community by the larger heterosexual community was all happening, she says in Sydney, Australia, it was the D word on bikes. We're making sure that the LGBTQ plus people coming home from bars late at night were getting home safe via their motorcycles. And not only is this a really cool homage to an iconic organization, but she also looks good. It's so tastefully 80s, but also feels modern and punk with a beautiful silhouette. And I love that trench coat. And generally, I think she did a great job making this super butch aesthetic really glamazon-y and truly ready for the RuPaul's Drag Race runway. This look is hot. And next up, Raw. It's Gothy Kendoll, who is ultimately slotted last in our Rusical. Save the best for last. And she comes out singing, it's me, Gothy's back up on your TV. But I stepped on the runway, never gonna sashay. Well, once, but it was a rough day. Ending with better watch out bitches, hear me raw. And while these maybe, you know, are a little contradictory, I think they're also self-aware and funny. The bigger issue she had in this Rusical though was the choreo, her stage presence, and delivery of her lines. Like, it is hard to even say that the choreo was a problem for her because it wasn't even like just a problem for her. It's just something that did not mesh with her in any way, shape, or form. But she isn't looking too stressed about it and doesn't seem to be very nervous or worried. She's just kind of vibing. And I think there really is something to be said for that. So yeah, this was a rot. And over on the runway, we see her recreating the Queen Elizabeth look from the Queen Elizabeth Realness runway. And this original look from her is pretty rough, but seeing it side by side next to today's runway is crazy. There is a stark contrast in the Queen that was there in season 1 and the Queen that is here on UK versus the World 2. The hair and makeup are so much more clean, pristine, sculpted, and perfect. And this dress is giving soft, chic, and maybe even a little demure. I could have though used a little more wow factor. I don't think this is like her best runway she's presented, but we can't sit here and say this is not 1000% a glow up. So I'd give this look a 3 flame hot. And next up, my favorite season, Marina Summers. And she comes in third in our Rusical rapping, I'm a Filipina diva with a confession. I'm a little Asian from a faraway nation. Ending with drop it hot like I'm made of ice, like sticky rice. And she was another queen who I think did a great job of blending rap and singing. But more than what she wrote or what actually came out of her mouth, what I noticed the most with Marina was her stage presence. This is a superstar through and through. She's absolutely captivating and had the absolute best choreo in her solo number and looked 1000% on point in every single wide shot. The girl knows what she's doing. I'm giving her 5 out of 5 hot flames here. And over the runway, she's redoing her Turno She Betta Don't runway from the first episode of Drag Race Philippines. And Turno, by the way, is, according to an article from Vogue Philippines, a representation of shared identity, womanhood, and femininity captured in hand-embroidered bodice and butterfly sleeves. And let me just say that Marina's first look absolutely did not need a glow up, but oh my god, she managed to elevate, glow up, twist, and completely reimagine this concept in such a beautiful way. This is a gorgeous, 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 gorgeous look. Maybe one of the most beautiful across every season of RuPaul's Drag Race ever. She says the look is a modern take on that Turno style inspired by the milkfish, which is the national fish of the Philippines. I love how much heritage she has incorporated into this look, and it's absolutely gobsmacking how detailed it is. I cannot imagine how many hours of labor went into all the hand embroidering and stoning of this gown and making sure all those crazy fin placements on her head and shoulders and everything to create this dramatic silhouette took. This look is obviously 5 out of 5 hot flames for me tonight. And yes, RuPaul even gives her a little clap at the end of the runway and later in critiques gives her the title, the coveted title of You Were Born to Do Drag, which puts Miss Marina Summers in a very elite club. And except Choriza May, who opens our Rusical singing, coming in hot, it's nice to see ya. I'm so damn spicy like a margarita. I messed up the first one, no worries, no drama. Coming in strong like the Spanish Armada. And just looking back at her lyrics, I actually think hers were some of the most fun. I liked how she rhymed and thematically connected her stuff to Spicy Heat and Flames, tapping into that Inferno branding that she opened the season with. But her big issue tonight is delivery. It seems like maybe she was avoiding the beltier singing part of this live Rusical by approaching it with really fast rap or fast talking rap. I do think she fell into the trap a little bit of thinking she had to fill every single millisecond of this beat with a word, and she was audibly a little nervous in delivery, and as the judges were calling out, kind of shaky in some of the choreo. And considered amongst her peers, I would give this performance a rot, but I mean, let's be real. This was a pretty crazy ask of a challenge. Anyways, on the runway, she chose to glow up her X-Penny Henny look, a runway that was supposed to look expensive. And her original concept looks kind of Western cowgirl, Burning Man meets Trixie Mattel-ish thing. And the redo keeps that Western aesthetic with that cute little cowgirl hat in her hair. And she's incorporated all these same colors in her new look, red, gold, and black. And I'll say I really like the play of that satin gold champagne fabric against that really structured metallic gold crop jacket and corset. And I was pretty gagged when Michelle told her that there were some things about the first look she liked better. That was wild. That said though, I do agree with the sentiment. Something about this look is just a little off. I think there are some awkward lines happening in the chest area with the way that crop jacket meets the bodice. And then something about the way the skirt part of this sits around her waist feels strange, just kind of bunched up in the front. But again, this is leagues and bounds better than the original. I would give this a warming up. And finally, Le Grande Dame, who in the challenge comes in 5th, rapping, "I'm Alpha, Omega, you can't ever beat. You drop a pulse, I'll drop the beat. Kiki, Winnie, Bella, Hadid," which is such a strong way to open her solo moment. But then it gets a little unintelligible for me. I usually have no trouble understanding what she's saying. The thickness of her accent was really heavy in that final part of the verse, and I had to turn on the captions to see what she was saying. And after hearing her and Marina's verses, I was wondering, like, did they not give them the option to rap in their first languages? Because I think those two queens in particular would have really benefited from being able to maybe switch between English and their other language, like we've seen queens successfully do in the past. And I think it might have been even a little more exciting and representative of this worldly competition that we're supposed to be having. Anyways, her delivery was confident, and I liked all the solo choreos she did. For me, this was hot. And over on the runway, she is redoing her The Morning After the Night Out runway, which had an original concept where she was a used item of protection, we'll say, which, wow, I'd never seen this, but truly speaks to Le Grande Dame's dark, twisted sense of humor. She said, "Let me give you something gross and nasty, but make it fashion." And she did that here as well, but not gross and nasty. Instead, this redo is a complete reimagining with a much softer focus. From a distance, it looks like she's wearing a giant knitted member, but it's not knitted. When you zoom in and we hear the explanation, it's actually 2,000, over 2,000 items of protection carefully assembled and constructed into this piece. And I love how ridiculous and completely over the top this look is. I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like this on the Drag Race stage. This look is fun, stupid, fashion, and distinctly Le Grande Dame. It's hot. And the bottoms of this episode are Gothy, Kendoll, and Choriza May, which I completely agree with. Both of them struggled in their solo stage presence moments and also in all of the larger group choreography moments. The top two, though, I only half agree with. They picked Tia and Marina. I would have picked Scarlet and Marina. It just felt to me that Scarlet was slightly above the rest in terms of really nailing the singing, dancing, and choreo triple threat component of what this musical was asking them to do. It seems they may have chosen Tia, though, because they really enjoyed the comedic elements of what she did in this musical. She was one of the few to get a laugh that was laughing with the queens and not at the queens. But of course, I'd love to know what y'all thought about that down below. So Tia and Marina lip sync to one of Self Esteem's songs, and this lip sync, which yes, I did react to on Patreon, link below. Marina Summers, she is the moment. She is the girl, she's the goddess. She is the reason for the season. She ate this lip sync up in a way that was honestly a little disrespectful to Tia. It was wild. Rent was due, eviction notice posted, the entire weight of representing the Philippines on her back, and she did not disappoint. This was hot and hands down a win for her. And you know, Tia, she did her best here. But my God, Marina is born to do drag. My final thoughts on this episode, though, as a whole were, I guess I felt a little confused watching the challenge, because I kind of expected more of a story like we usually get in Rusicals, especially with the way they framed the description of the roles that they were assigning to the queens. Instead, though, we get something they're kind of billing as a loose parody of Six, the musical, but is actually just a girl group challenge. But the bigger issue across the board was the struggle of choreography. I think they really could have benefited from having somebody else guide or design this for them, because this is a cast of queens who mostly are self-professed not dancers. So yeah. And now for Hottest Tots. In the Rusical, I'm gonna give to Scarlet Envy, and on the Runway, Marina Summers. I also asked my patrons to vote on their Hottest Tots, and this week they've chosen Marina Summers in the Rusical and Marina Summers on the Runway. And I wanna give one more extra special thank you to the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek. I was actually doing some travel a couple weeks ago and wanted to see a sold-out Cobra show with my friends. And guess who came to the rescue when I decided I wanted to buy a ticket to this show an hour before the event started? SeatGeek. So don't forget, use my link below to download SeatGeek, and make sure to use code BussyQueen to save $20 on your first SeatGeek order. And finally, I want to give an extra special thank you to Ashley Brungart, Childfree Mateau, Dorothy Hall, Felicia, Laura, Matthew Burns, Stephen Topher, and Will and Tana, who are all supporting me at the Bussy Queen Collector tier over at patreon.com/BussyQueen. See you later. Love ya. Bye.